Greetings from Fortes Media, whose mission is to help inner city youth complete their education, establish a career, and ultimately start a business if they choose to. This channel discusses topics on solutions to the various challenges youth, parents, and educators encounter on the path towards inner city youth development success. Welcome to Fortes Media. Hello to all of you who have supported Fortes throughout all these years. Appreciate you. I want to send a special hello to the new supporters and contacts who have joined us and who are joining us from our new platform, Fortes' new platform, LinkedIn, as well as Facebook. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and we appreciate you here at Fortes. So the purpose of this video is to provide you with an update on what's been happening. I know it's been a lot. I don't get a chance to post a lot of these updates. In fact, I believe the last update that I provided was some time ago. So I'll leave it at that. But I will be making efforts to provide more continual and consistent updates in combination with just the new development. So with that said, with the time that I have, I'm gonna try and make this real brief. It's very important to keep these updates brief, with everything going on, all that talking is too much. So just let me update all of you with what's going on. There has been a lack of updates to Fortes' website and social media platforms. And this is in large part due to the partnership that we have recently formed, or not recently, but that we formed some time ago. In fact, over a few years ago, since 2016, in fact. And that partnership is with the Boys and Girls Club. It's been an outstanding, and is an outstanding partnership, one in which has added tremendous value to our operations, Fortes operations, in large part. It's been very, very rewarding. And the impact that we're having, and myself in particular, on the teens, I don't even know if this word describes it, but nothing less than outstanding. But with that said, to all of you who supported Fortes and is wondering, what's going on, a lot of it has been in part due to the energies and resources that have been invested in this partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. The idea was back in 2016 for it to be a 2-year timeline, whereas we would come in and invest the first year in just keeping a pulse on our target demographic, teens between the ages of 16 to 18. But in the program structure in of itself is 16 to 24. And what has transpired is a kind of a surprise. I guess that's the best word, surprise. So the idea was that the teen demographic that we would help would pretty much be college ready, I would say. They're part of a structured organization, a structured club, and pretty much that would set the foundation, as it were, for higher education and or employment. But what it turned out to be with this specific group or demographic, nothing could be further from the truth. That's not a bad thing. It just further solidifies and confirms how much these inner city youth need our help. And by our, I mean educators, professionals, to come in and really just guide these young people, because their environment doesn't provide that necessary support or resource. And that's basically it in a nutshell. I don't want to get too long-winded. I don't want to be too detailed oriented for the sake of time. But the 2-year timeline, whereas the first year was supposed to be an evaluation, basically evaluating where these young people are at, and then tailor mentoring instructions the second year to implement those, to basically prepare them for higher education and job readiness, employment. But due to various factors, when you work in the nonprofit sector and you're dealing with resources that are scarce for the most part, those things played a part in that 2-year timeline turning into what it is now, longer than 2 years. And I'm happy to say and happy to report that at this point in time, the foundation is finally pretty much being set or established. There's still the factor of the various different cohorts coming into this age of developing and discovering themselves. And obviously that requires a sort of refresher course or reset for those who age out and become 18 and go out into the workforce, compared to those who are now coming into their teenage years, 13, coming into the type of structure that's been established by Forties in its partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. It's a learning curve, to say the least, and it's can be challenging for some of the adolescents coming into their teenage years, some of which we're dealing with to this day. So that's pretty much the long and short of what's been happening to that extent. The unexpected, I'll term it as the unexpected reality of the teens at the club coming into this type of structure, some of which they're not at all familiar with. So those were some of the challenges, as I afford mentioned. The other challenge that we had was at the onslaught of 2020, when the pandemic hit, and the pandemic affected operations and instructions and mentoring to the degree that those here in the world, I'm sure you're familiar with, well aware of, kind of caused a shift, as it were. Not necessarily a bad thing, but more so new technology and the advent thereof, as well as having to implement different out-of-the-box type thinking, teaching structures, mentoring structures. And those are the things that played a part in the, I guess, setting the foundation with the teenage population with regards to Forties' role and my role in particular with the partnership Forties has with the Boys and Girls Club. So I know that sounded a little cryptic, but I'm just trying to, without being too long, give you an overview. And I say that in particular in regards to why there hasn't been any updates to Forties' website and social media platforms, because a lot of our resources, a lot of my resources, a lot of my energies have been invested and divested into this partnership that I have with the Boys and Girls Club, which I would say is one of the probably best decisions I've made at the helm of this organization. But that's the reason why. So that's going to start changing. We're going to start providing more information, more developments going forward starting this year. So good news, that's good news. Part of these new developments that Forties is working on and I'm working on, and again, as I already said, thank you for your new subscribers and new contacts. I hope this information kind of gives you some kind of insight on who we are and what we do, is a new partnership that we're forming with a community college. I don't want to say too much on that yet, The ink hasn't dried yet. It's still in its developmental stage. But the idea, particularly with this community college, is to create what's called an A+ certification program, whereas it teaches these young people how to dismantle and then assemble a CPU, and what CPU means, a computer processing unit, a central processing unit, actually, but personal computers, PCs, as the desktop computers in particular, to teach these young people how to take apart basically the equipment and then put it back together. And what that certification, that's part of what the A+ certification is. And you might have heard of it, and you can look it up online and get more details on that. But that's something that we're, 4Ts, and I'm particularly creating for the teen population, in particular with the club, to prepare them for the higher education experience. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, but again, for the sake of time, I'm trying to keep this brief. So why this is important is because, again, and this is giving you an update with what 4Ts is up to. I'm trying to give you the update and what I'm involved in and what's going on, why there hasn't been any new developments on the site, particularly is because of this. But this year, that's going to change as we bring new people on board and start implementing these changes. Is that one of the things that has been discovered is that a lot of these inner city youth aren't prepared for a four-year college. And that was a surprise for me. Now, I knew there were challenges among, teenagers and young people in the public school system, but I didn't know it was this bad. And especially with the pandemic, and thank God for that happening, it brought in, to an extent, those who have, forgive me for, my heart goes out to those of you who have lost loved ones. I don't mean to veer off and go on a tangent, but I do want to say this in light of the topic I'm talking about in regards to COVID and the pandemic. My heart, my prayers go out to all of you who have lost loved ones during this time. And that was a tragedy. It was a travesty. But at the same time, looking at the glass half full and having to deal with the reality that life goes on, that the benefits of that, if you want to call it that, is that it opened the eyes of those in administration, government, of how dire it was in regards to the lack of technology that existed in these inner cities. So having said that, part of that also included a lot of these young people who were not, and still are not, in large mass prepared for higher education, four-year colleges. The statistics bear this out. Again, I'm not going to get too much into the statistics due to the sake of time, but the data shows and the studies show that youth from the inner city, I'm not talking about one-offs, I'm not talking about exceptions to rules, I'm talking about majority of these inner city youth do not, if they get into college and they get accepted into college, they do not finish college after their second year. They make it to their second year and they drop out. And this is some of the stuff that I talk about in another business venture that I'm in called Grand Rising Collective with my business colleague, Kyle Dixon, where we're going to do a part 2 on careless youth. And in that, I spoke about, to a large degree, the statistics of these young people. And I gave some examples of some studies that I read years ago, where you have students and young people who, after they even get accepted into college, not a lot of them make it to their third year. In fact, there is a, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere 80+% ratio drop of students who make it into their first year and don't even make it to their third year. And this is what I want to address real quick, but again, due to the sake of time, I can't. But that's why I'm developing this partnership with this community college, which is a A+ certification program, to give these young people give them exposure, number one, to campus life or college life, so that way they could be somewhat familiar to the environment in and of itself, which will contribute to them being able to adjust more quickly to the demands of higher education study, right? In addition to that, for those students who, college isn't for everyone. So for those students who don't feel like college is for them, to at least qualify them and give them some experience and qualifications in IT, information technology, through this A+ certification program. So that way they can at least level up in terms of economically, whereas some of the benefits of graduating this course with this certification will put them in the running, as it were, give them some type of leverage, as it were, in employment where they can make upwards to, somewhere around 30 to 40,000 a year after high school. So that's what 4Ts, me in particular, is currently working on, forming with this partnership, this new partnership with the community college in Oregon. The other thing that 4Ts is working on, and I'm working on in particular, is a course that I am facilitating in my partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, and is more directed towards young men, and that's Passport to Manhood. But I don't just teach this course to men, it's open to the young ladies as well, but it's centered on 5-year plans and how important a 5-year plan is. And I talk about this as well in some of the other meetings that I do and facilitate on social media, how important a 5-year plan is. So you're going to see that very shortly. You're going to see your president, myself, Mr. K, as I'm called, President Bentley, whatever the case would be, in action with these young people. And it's I would say, a pretty inspiring piece or clip where you actually see me facilitate this actual 5-year plan in an activity type, and you're going to see how the young people react to it and engage. That's the start of the new information and the new content that you're going to see on 4Ts, and that's compliments of the partnership that I'm in with the Boys and Girls Club. A great organization, as a matter of fact. Every organization has its flaws and their ups and downs, what have you, but for the most part, the people that I've met and worked with in this partnership have been no less than outstanding. So just want to put that out there. And that covers the BMCC A+ certification. So we're working on that. And the idea of it is that, and again, I know this is long, but I'm just trying to give you an update, try and keep it within a certain time frame. But the advantages of this A+ certification, 6 to 8 week course, that will pretty much, for the most part, be on campus, will get these young people acclimated to the college environment, as I stated before. Projected projects. So I just covered why 4Ts hasn't been updating any new content, as it were, on our social media platforms and our website. And I just finished covering the new partnerships that we're forming with the community college in terms of A+ certification, preparing these young people for the college experience to adjust that way in addition to their studies. The next thing I want to share with you, next and final, is going to be projected projects. So the idea of it, or the design of all this, is that while this is going on, A+ certification, I'm 4Ts myself, is also forming partnerships with, or forming what's called a sort of bridge service. And it's a bridge service with 4Ts partnerships with Fordham University and LIU as well. And what this is designed to do is designed to get these young people into a community college, 2-year college, for the most part, those who might not be prepared for a full 4-year college, but get their feet wet in a 2-year discipline. Again, so they can familiarize themselves with the environment along with their studies, hone their skills in that area, get familiar with that environment, develop their skill set, as it were, or discipline in that environment, whereas they garner enough, obtain enough credits to transfer to a 4-year college, and particularly the 4-year colleges that I'm affiliated with and in partnership with, and that being Fordham University and LIU. That way, they only have to spend 2 years in a 4-year college or university, as opposed to a full 4 years which will help them make that transition a little smoother. So these are the things that Fortes is working on, myself in particular, that we're going to be bringing on more people to help us with in implementing. And that's, I would say that's a lot. There's more to it than that. Believe me, this you got the abbreviated version, but that's pretty much what we're working on. So again, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the new connections that we've received on LinkedIn, Facebook, and that's not to say I don't want to omit anyone. I appreciate all of you who have joined us from the other social media platforms, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. We thank you. I thank you personally for your support and staying with us for this long journey. Anybody could tell you, in this field, as an entrepreneur and nonprofit, they have this diagram that says, from point A to point B, that's the plan. But in real life, there's a whole zigzag line and everything. And, and then let me leave you all with this. And this is kind of what I teach young people as well. You have to love what you do. And I am honored, and I'm privileged, I'm honored, and I'm humbled to have this opportunity, been given this opportunity to pursue what I love. And I see the impact that I have on the young people. And it's refreshing every day. I'm not saying it's not tiring. It's very tiring. But just my purpose invigorates me to keep going. I have my up days, I have my down days, I have my challenges. I have my days where I'm motivated and inspired, and I have my days when I'm unmotivated and not inspired. Many of those days. But what keeps me going is my faith in God. First and foremost, I should start it off with that. Whatever your belief is yours. But my faith in God and Him empowering me to do what I do and love what I do. So again, with that said, again, from the bottom of my heart, I hope you'll feel my energy. I hope you'll feel my heart with this. I just wanted to take this time out to say thank you again. I don't think I can say thank you enough for all of you who have, in whatever way you can, you could supported Fortes all these years, stay connected, tapped in, see what was going on, any new updates or what have you, following our website, perusing the areas that we have in the website in regards to the Student Excel, the programs that we have going on, the blogs that we have going on, just getting that information. I'm constantly getting follow-ups and correspondence with people who share with me how they're how can I say, they're impressed with the blogs and the information there and how useful and beneficial it is to them, and wanting to contribute more content, information on the topics that we talk about in the blogs. That's just one element and aspect of it. But all in all, just thank you all so much. Appreciate y'all. And stay tuned for more exciting developments that I have in store. We have in store for y'all for 2022. It's going to be a very exciting year. It's looking to be more impactful than it ever has been before. Fortes is looking to make more of a bigger impact on the demographic, the youth, and society as a whole by being able to help these young people succeed, not only for themselves, but for society as a whole. So I'm real excited with regards to what's to come. So once again, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again.